Hey everyone, how's everyone doing today? My name is Jean and I'm doing great. So today I'm going to be using this candy corn looking wood thing to create a Halloween scene. I bought this a couple of years ago when it was on clearance, and I did use it for like a Christmas tree look, and I did do a video on that. I'll try to remember to link it. But I also have a little circular wooden disc there that I'm going to make into the moon, and there's a hole there, so I put a little bit of glue to keep it from being just a hole. And before I begin, I needed to prep my wood surface, so I used a sanding block to sand it, and then I used a sealant to seal it. Because you do want to do that. You want to make sure that you use a sealant so that the paint won't seep into the wood. And I'm using a few stamps. This one is from Fiskars, and I used VersaFine ink, and then I'm going to use some Versamark embossing powder or embossing pad ink. I'll get it out in a minute, y'all. And I'm going to use the thick embossing powder because I love doing just one layer of that because it gives a bumpy, grungy type look, and I love that. So that's what I'm going to end up using on the tree. And I'm also going to be using the pumpkin stamps from the Tim Holtz collection that I used on the lantern that I made a couple of weeks ago. And I will also emboss that with the thick embossing powder as well. Anything that was organic, I wanted to use the thick embossing powder on. I will also, there I'm just showing you the texture. I just love that texture. Love it, love it, love it. And there's the Tim Holtz pumpkins. I got the idea. I was just looking over in my closet, my craft closet, at all my goodies that I have, and I was like, I want to do something Halloweenish, but I don't want to do a journal page, but I kind of want to do a journal page. And then I saw the candy corn, and I was like, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use that. And I'm glad I did because this turned out super cute. So with the pumpkins, just like I did in the lantern, I just used my Tim Holtz crayons. They worked so well the last time, and I just love the color combinations with that rust hinge, I think is the name of it, and the fossilized amber. I just love those colors together that I just wanted to use them again. And, just add a little water just to get them activated and blended in. I really should use these more often. But I also wanted to go into a little bit more detail, so I got out my Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils, colored pencils, and used those to give it just a little bit more detail and to color in some spaces that I felt needed a little bit more color to them. And I will use the die to cut these out, the pumpkins and the eyes. Now this cute little scarecrow stamp, and I couldn't decide if I wanted to do watercolor or Copic markers, so I decided I was going to do both. So one I have stamped with VersaFine ink, and the other I have stamped with Memento. So I'm using the one that was stamped with the VersaFine ink to use my watercolor markers on. These are Ohuhu watercolor markers. I liked them pretty well. They're nice markers. They're not very vibrant, but they did the job. They did it pretty well. I kind of goofed up and started on the other scarecrow, as you can see, and that was the one I used the Memento ink on. I'm like, why is this looking like it's got some black in it? And I was like, oh, because you used the wrong one, Gina. And I had just stamped it too, so go figure. But I was just trying to think of, some colors that a scarecrow would use, like blue jeans and just an old flannel shirt, and just to color them in green hats. Green's my favorite color, green and purple, so can't go wrong with that. So I liked the watercolor, and spoiler alert, I end up using that. I don't know why I do too, because every time I do I always usually go with the watercolor look. Maybe one day I will use the Copic marker. So I had to stamp another with the Memento ink in order to use my Copic markers, which I do. And I tried to stay in the same color scheme so that, I could compare them better. And I still ended up going with the watercolor marker. So, yeah. But it is very hot here. It's October 1st, and it was still 92 degrees. It's been in the 90s. It's been hotter in the mid-September until now than it was in summertime. So I've been wanting to do some autumn stuff, but it's so hot, you don't get in the mood because it's not cool enough to do it, right? So I have been doing some decorative painting. I did put out my scarecrow porch greeter that I did and my welcome sign. I did do that today, and my little potted witch, I moved her out. So not started decorating inside the house. And yes, I do decorate for Halloween. I love Halloween. I love autumn. It's my favorite season. And I just dig it. So I'm excited. I wish it would just get cooler. I think by the end of next week, it's supposed to start getting in the high 70s, which will be way cooler. So, but the night it's getting night quicker. So it feels, as far as outside, if you look outside, it looks fallish, but it just does not feel like fall, if that makes any sense. So there they are. And I did use my pencils again just to kind of give faces and stuff like that. But you see how the Copic markers are a little bit like darker colored. And I just, because of the color I'm going to use on the candy corn, I just felt that it was just going to be too dark for the colors that I'm going to use. So I end up fussy cutting the scarecrows and the tree out with the Tim Holtz. I used the die, as I said. Now here, I wanted to do, because the eyes and the mouth and the nose are going to be cut out with the Tim Holtz die. So I took some of my yellow Indian ink on some wax paper so that I could put that into the background, so like it looks like a candle is going to be showing through them. So that is what I am doing right there. Now on these Tim Holtz dies, you don't have to use the face if you don't want to. But I chose to. Now the tree had a little bit of white showing because I did fussy cut it out. So I just took some of my Memento ink there and just the makeup sponge thing and just kind of schmutz on some of the darkness there to cover up the white edge of the paper where I cut it out. So, and there I'm just cleaning the brush. Those are very easy to clean. That's why I love using them. You just baby wipe, and because it's Memento, I used a little bit of water. And I just cut out just a little bit, enough to just cover the face. I wasn't too worried about it. I just wanted to make sure I was covering the face and everything. And so here I'm painting. I painted the back and the sides just all the one color, and it's purple. And then the front, I will do a different way. Here I'm just putting a little bit of yellow stickles in the eyes. It's just, because they gotta have some sparkles. Everything's gotta have sparkles. So I wanted it to, reflect light and everything. They turned out super cute. I think they're cute. I think they're adorable. I love these stamp sets. Here I'm painting the moon, and the glue ended up not working anyway, but I wasn't too worried about it. So that is moon yellow, actually, what I'm using. And I did do the front and the back because it's going to kind of go off of the top of the candy corn. And so you'll see a little bit of the back. And here I've stamped, I used a stamp of the bat and used just red stickles to, use as his eyes. And I'm going to use him to cover up that little hole so that you kind of don't see it. And here I'm doing some floating technique just to give it some shadow and some highlight. And I believe I used True Ochre on for the shadow part, and then for the highlight I used sand. And I'm using the floating technique, and that's where you dip your brush in water and you blot it, and then you just do a corner of it, and then you make like a runway, so to speak, where you just take your brush back and forth, and you just end up just taking it on the corner pieces and floating the paint. So here I'm getting everything ready to go ahead and start working on what I want the front of the candy corn to look like. And again, my thought was I want it to kind of be like an art journal page, but using the wood instead. So I'm using all these washi tapes that I got last year when they were on clearance at Michael's. They're the Tim Holtz Christmas washi tape. I got the stamps, I got some washi tape, I got tissue paper. I think that was all that I got. I mean, and they were super cheap. I think they were like 90% off. And so they're good to get. Now this is used dryer sheets, and I'm making ghosts out of them. I just wanted to get some extra texture in there. And so I'm making a few little ghosts to put onto my my little Halloween scene here. And so I'm trying to think of where I want everything to be placed. Where I want all the ghosts to be. And I wanted this fella to be kind of like coming down from the moon. And I will end up gluing all three of these pieces together with wood glue because I don't want them to move. But at first I have them separated while I just do this part. But once I begin to paint it, I have them all glued together. So it is one whole piece. And here's that tissue paper from Tim Holtz that I'm using. It's really cool, especially like the ones without the darkness to it. When I used the matte medium gel on it, I used fluid medium, matte medium on it. It kind of just soaked into the wood, and it actually looked really cool, like by itself like that, you know. And I was half tempted to just leave it like that, but I was like, no, that was not my plan. So I'm just taking that purple, and I'm going to take another lighter colored, which is orchid, and mix the two, and I'm kind of going to blend it out and gradient it on down. My thought was to kind of have it like a sunset, but like a spooky sunset with the purple in it. So I'm using the purple, and then as I get further down, I'll be using golden straw actually as the yellow, and then I will use scarlet and sand mixed together for like an orange color. And I just love the effect that it looks. And I really dig how, especially on camera, you can see the ghost. You see them? It is so cool looking to me that you can really see the ghost, especially the purple up at the purples. And it's just a cool effect, you know, that you can see these ghosts, and it really, you know, gives you the effect that there's ghosts there. You know, I don't know. I dig it. I always love doing this mixed media stuff. I always like to, you know, put the tape down and just give it extra bumps and extra texture. At the beginning, to me, that was a little bit too peachy, so I added just a little bit more of the scarlet in it. And I think I will go in with a little bit of the golden straw, too, to kind of darken it up a little bit, because it seemed a little too peachy for me. And I wanted the top to be a little bit darker, because, you know, I wanted it to look really dark up at the top, and then the light come more down into the center of the piece there. And it's just playing with the colors and just looking to see what you think looks good. That looks like a sky. And just I'm just using long strokes to do that. So this is this one was a fun one to do. I really had a lot of fun doing this one today. I'm glad I looked over in my closet and saw this. So it's dry now, and what I'm going to do before I like put any of my stamping on there is I want to do some floating. So there you can see what I'm talking about dipping and blotting and then doing a runway. That's the runway up there. And I believe that's the golden straw or true ochre I think I used for the bottom part, and then the top part is royal purple. And so I will use that on the front and the sides and the back. So they will all the purple will have that as the shadow part on them. So I really like the floating technique. I like the way that it looks. It just sets things into place, I think. I feel. So now I'm going to go ahead and stamp in just a couple of the stamps that I have. One says trick or treat, that's that one with some bats, and then the other one will say Happy Halloween on it. And I use the purple from Archival Ink, and I also will use the yellow out of the Archival Ink down there at the bottom. I just wanted it in a few spots. And then I will glue the tree down and make that more or less the focal image of the piece here. And I'll use a baby wipe to help just get it down and not get glue all over the place. And then I have this cute little fence stamp from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm just going to use StazOn ink is what I used, and I will use that across the whole thing. And I wasn't too worried if it was going to leave a clean impression or not, because I want it to be like a spooky thing, And then I will just end up putting down I'm going to put the bat on, and the bat had, of course, the white edges, so I needed to put ink on that, and I'll glue him, like I said, over that hole so you don't see it. And then I'll do a little bit of ghost stamping onto the moon, just to kind of give hey, there's a few more bats with them up there. And I'll use wood glue to glue that down as well, so that it will stay on there. And then it'll be just to glue down my little scarecrow. And this is where I wished I used matte medium gel. And it didn't dawn on me until after I started slathering it over him that, this could affect the watercolor. And it did. It dulled it down. So, and then the pumpkins, I'm just using the foam squares to get them up, just on 2 of them. And then the third one on the left, I just used glue to glue him down. So I wish I would have just used glue on the scarecrow so that he would still stay a little bit vibrant. But if you look at it, it just looks like he's maybe been out there for a while, sitting out in this 90-degree weather, being, baked to death. So now I'm just floating again around the trees, and I'll float around the moon and the scarecrow and the pumpkins just to set everything into the piece. I always like to float, or sometimes I use pit pens, but because I used acrylic, I figured I would just use my acrylic paint to go ahead and do the floating on that. So I'm using that royal purple again for the purple part, and for the down by the pumpkins and a little bit of the scarecrow, I will end up using just scarlet alone to float those, to give them, to put them into the page. I just think this makes it look more, or not page, but the wood blocks here. I just feel like it just gives it more of a finished look when you do that, when you float around the areas. I just love this. Oh, I love the colors. I really like floating too. Doesn't that look cool? So now I'm gonna take some more of the dryer sheets and I'm gonna make Ghost again, but this time after I'm gonna use the matte medium gel to put them down, and then I will end up using my fine glitter to put glitter on them so that they will sparkle, because you know ghosts sparkle, they have to. And I just think that it looks so cool in the end. And again, like having them there and then you see the ghost in the purple, it's just, I don't know, it's a cool effect. I really dig it. I hope y'all dig this video. I hope that you really liked the way that this turned out, because I do. I really enjoyed it. I didn't feel like I was struggling today making this one. I'm not gonna lie, the last few things that I've made, I've like, I don't know, creative block sort of kind of, but this one, once I saw that, I was like, I know exactly what I want to do with it. And so it was really, really, really fun. So I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I'm just using a little bit of Posca pen there to give a little bit of detail, white details and stuff. So, but I hope it inspired you. I hope if where you're at, if you like cool weather, I hope you're getting cool weather. I hope it feels like fall, because I really would like that here. But I'm not going to complain. The only thing is we do need rain. We're almost in a drought now, so we need the rain. So that would be nice to get rain too. So, but I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it for you. If you like the video, please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And if you have, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. But don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified for every time that I post a video. And I hope y'all got inspired. I was inspired today. All right, y'all. Y'all be good to one another, and I'll talk to you later. All right, y'all. Y'all be good. Bye.